Shalom, to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that taught us this word. I just want to talk about the hanging of a man out here in California. The police found a man hanging um, from a tree out here in Palmdale, California, and that's just, they want to say it's a suicide, but we'll just have to wait and find out. The family wants to do an independent autopsy to find out. I believe, he was probably hung, lynched, you know. But yeah, these little incidents are going to be more and more of these little instances and these situations, especially with the whole, Black Lives Matter protests and all these different situations that's going on. It's getting people's spirits. Now they're trying to bring back, affirmative action. And you know how these Edomites feel about that. So that's just going to rouse up the spirit more and more. And the scriptures talk about, riots that's going to happen in these last days. Race riots. One people shall stand and fight against another people, But yeah, the first scripture I have is from abc7.com, entitled Family Seeks Independent Autopsy in Palmdale Hanging Death of Robert Fuller. Lawyers for the family of a 24-year-old black man found hanging from a tree in Palmdale said Tuesday that they will seek an independent investigation and autopsy to determine the cause of death. Robert Fuller was found with a rope around his neck about 4:30 a.m. June 10th in Poncelon, a square across from Palmdale City Hall. Authorities initially said the death appeared to be a suicide, although an official cause of death has not been made. The sheriff's department immediately declared his death a suicide without completing a full and thorough investigation, said attorney Jamon R. Hicks with Douglas Hicks Law. The lack of investigation and dismissal of this as a potential murder or hate crime has enraged Mr. Fuller's family and the entire Antelope Valley community. To rush to the conclusion that this was a suicide and not a homicide is extremely disturbing, especially given the manner by which Mr. Fuller was found, hanging from a tree. Hicks continued, for African Americans in America, hanging from a tree is a lynching, and why this cavalierly dismissed is a suicide and not instigated as a murder. Hicks said the family is asking for an independent autopsy to be paid for by the city of Palmdale. A rally was held Tuesday in Palmdale to determine answers in Robert Fuller's death, where dozens of protesters gathered near City Hall. On Monday, Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva vowed to conduct a thorough investigation into the death with cooperation from state and federal law enforcement. Hundreds of residents have taken part in vigils and protests in the days since, many condemning what they saw as a rush to judgment to proclaim Fuller's death as a suicide without examining the possibility of foul play. Some deemed his death a lynching. City Hall and the surrounding government buildings have no outdoor security cameras, according to Wagner. However, investigators are hopeful that nearby businesses, many of which remain closed, may have surveillance video of Fuller alone or accompanied entering the park. During the Monday afternoon town hall, multiple residents pushed Villanueva on the issue of why investigators originally assumed Fuller's death was a suicide, pressed by a woman who said she visited the tree and didn't see what she would expect at the scene of a suicide. Wigner offered additional details. What we noticed from the tree initially is, it was very easily climbable. We also noticed that the rope was secured in the tree up above. It wasn't secured to a place on the ground. Someone had to be up in the tree to secure that rope, Wedgener said. All this is part of the investigation, which is ongoing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, there's this guy named Malcolm Harsh, 39, was found at 7:30 a.m. hanging from a tree near a homeless encampment. So there's actually another hanging, possible suicide. Maybe it was a homicide as well. But we'll just have to wait and see what the autopsy determines. But yeah, with all these, racial tension is at an all-time high. And another situation that just happened today is that the mayor is planning affirmative action programs, and that's also going to rile up the spirit in people, especially Edomites. They always hated that affirmative action. But as from KTLA, posted June 19th today at 9:49 a.m., LA Mayor directs city departments to begin planning affirmative action programs, named city's first chief equity officer. On Juneteenth, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti signed an executive order directing all city departments to begin planning affirmative action programs in recruiting, hiring, training, and personnel policies. The mayor on Friday also announced a new position, the city's first chief equity officer. The named LA Deputy Mayor Brenda Shockley to the position. I welcome this opportunity to continue to fight for racial equity and equal opportunity against systematic racism and injustice. The California Assembly voted 58-9 last week to let voters decide whether to repeal the ban on affirmative action, which lets public universities and government agencies consider race when making admissions and hiring decisions. The question would be added to the November ballot if the state Senate concurs by June 25th. Garcetti said his directive will ensure LA is prepared if the measure passes in November. So yeah, just a quick little article on that. Just gonna raise up a lot of spirits, hiring people based off their race. That's just gonna it's adding more fuel to the fire, because Edomites, they hate that affirmative action, even though white women benefit most from affirmative action, but they're gonna get on Jake for that. But it's all part of prophecy. The Most High just is stirring up these spirits, against different people, out here. With these cops killing Jake, affirmative action being talked about again, and just different little situations. These Black Lives Matter protests, and all that's going on. That's really stirring that racial spirit up. The first scripture is 2 Ezra 13:29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. So yeah, man, that's talking about all types of riots and just people fighting, and all different types of violence, And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. Yeah, Yahushai. And we're in that time now where Yahushai's name is being declared, and Yahushai is being declared. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. An innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as though sawest them, willing to come and overcome him by fighting. But yeah, the point is, one people shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another. Man, next scripture is 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hands. Yeah, with swords, guns, everybody's stocking up on guns now, For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. Men shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. They're going to block off the cities, man. We got a little taste of that with the coronavirus. You couldn't leave your house. Traveling was restricted. Airplanes was restricted. You couldn't fly certain places on a small scale. But it's actually going to be a time where you can't go to the next city. There'll be sedition among men. We start to see that now. A little uprising against authority. These little uprisings, against the government on a small scale. But all that is going to increase. But the main point I was trying to bring out is, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another. Swords in their hands, those race riots, different riots, the protests are going to turn violent. The police are going to turn violent. I won't be surprised if the police start standing up more and more. So a lot of these police officers are getting, thrown in jail, catching felony charges for stupid reasons, like down there in Atlanta. That one Jake got killed. He actually stole the cop's taser and tried to use it against the cops. So, he got shot dead. So, that's those things that happen when you do that, when you resist. And, he shouldn't have been killed, I don't think. But, you take the cop's gun, you take his taser, that's liable to happen. And Jake know this, But when some more cops start standing up, more people start standing up, more racism is on the rise, like it says in the scripture, one people shall stand up to fight against another. One people against another. It says one realm against another, one place against another, one city against another. So it's gonna be just all out chaos these last days. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that out about the hanging. We'll have to just wait and see if they determine it's suicide or possible homicide, and reinstatement or affirmative action and all that. So yeah, with that, shalom.